I kept my hands off it. You'll want that first because you made me swear to. All week the missing tooth sat on the shelf where I left it, and I did not once try to fit it. I lasted a day, near enough. Then I took it down, turned it in the lamplight, and put it straight back. Because you were right, I've the changing magnet half of the gear and not its partner, and half a gear turns nothing.
And a man of your word the rest of the week, I trust?
Hands clean, ready, only a little the worse for the weight. You told me a small hole was left in one law and a patch was coming to fill it. So, fill it. That's tonight's errand. A bit of tidying, a floorboard nailed down. Have I got the size of it right?
You've got it right, and you've got it wrong, and I'd not spoil either half for the world. Tonight is a repair. You have that dead on. One law, one hole, one missing piece knocked home. A plumber called to stop a drip under the sink. But sit down before we start, because I know the face you make when the floor moves. And it's about to move. The man we're calling to mend the leak is Maxwell. And Maxwell, patching that one small hole, ended up handing us the thing pouring out of the lamp over your head.
A plumber who comes to stop a drip and walks out, having explained the sun, I'd like that man's rates. But you'll not hurry me past the leak itself, however grand the ending. Take me back to the hole. It's a week old and I want it fresh under my hand before we fill it.
Fair enough. Which law was it that sprang the leak?
The third, amperes, the walk the loop one, the counting law for the curling field. Currents make magnetism. Walk a loop round the wire, tally how the field shoves you along, and out drops the current threaded through. That one ran without a stumble the night I met it, and then, at the door, you showed it telling 2 stories in a single breath.
The charging gap. Let me stand the bench up exactly as it was, because the whole of tonight hangs off this queer little picture. Take a plain wire carrying a current and cut it, not clean off to nowhere, but up to 2 flat metal plates set facing each other, a slice of bare air between them, no metal bridging across. Current runs along the wire, reaches the near plate and stops dead, because it cannot leap that air. So the charge heaps up there, higher and higher on the plate, going nowhere. And out past the far plate, the wire carries its current onward as though the gap weren't there.
And here's where you sprang the trap. I've got it fresh now. I ring that wire with my ampere loop. 1 loop, round the 1 wire, and the law swore the answer couldn't hang on anything but the loop itself. But the skin I stretch across it, the soap film I blow over the rim, I can drape 2 ways.
Show me the 2.
Pull it flat so it slices clean through the wire, and a real current stabs my film, charge marching in metal, plain as morning. Or belly it down so it dips through the bare gap between the plates, and nothing pierces it. No metal there, no charge crossing. 1 loop, 2 films, 2 answers.
And that's the scandal of it. The answer can't hang on which sheet of soap you happen to blow across the rim, yet here it plainly does. Slice the wire, you count a current. Dip through the gap, you count nothing whatever. Same walk either way, round the same field, and yet the law insists the answer is 2 different things at once. That's no scratch in the paintwork. That is a law contradicting its own self, out loud, over 1 ordinary wire.
And here's what gnaws worse than the bookkeeping. Forget the 2 films a moment. Go out into the world. Round that charging wire, near the gap, is there a magnetic field or isn't there?
You tell me. You've a compass in your pocket.
Then I carry it up beside those plates while the charge piles on and the needle swings. It must. There's a field curling round the region as surely as round any wire that carries current. So the field is really there. Something is really making it. And on the gap side, the law tells me the maker, the current, isn't there at all.
Swelling while the charge piles up, dying the instant the plates fill and the piling stops. your compass would track it tick for tick. A magnetic field plainly present, curling round that gap, and by the law as Ampere left it, nothing there to raise it.
And every magnetic field I've ever met was made by a current, by charge on the move.
Not one exception in all your weeks. And here stands the exception, a field with no current beneath it. So either magnetism has learned to spring up fatherless in a patch of empty air, or there is a maker in that gap we have simply failed to count.
Then let me put money down, the way you like it. And I can already hear it'll be wrong, because you've that look on you that says the floor's about to tilt. Last week I called it a ghost current, didn't I? Some phantom of a flow haunting the gap, standing in for the charge that never leaps.
Dress the phantom up properly then. What is it, in the flesh?
The charge is straining to cross that air, leaning hard, wanting to jump, and maybe a whisper of it truly does. A faint leakage, too small to see but real, and that's the current my second film catches. Fill the gap with that trickle of true charge and the book's shut. There, knock it flat.
Down it goes, and cleanly, because no charge crosses that gap. Not a whisper, not a leak, not one stray traveller. Make it a slice of pure vacuum if you like, the finest insulator there is, so nothing whatever could sputter over, and every word of the trouble stands as before.
So the leak's no leak, the field's still there, the charge still won't cross, and I'm no nearer naming what raises it.
Then stop hunting for a current and look again at the gap while the charge piles up. Whatever fills that hole is no current in any sense you've meant the word these weeks, but something in there is most certainly changing. Tell me what.
Let me actually look then, instead of guessing. 2 plates, charge piling on the near one. And charge you drilled into me on the first nights sprays out an electric field. So as the charge heaps higher on that plate, the electric field it flings across to the other plate must be growing with it. Feeble when the plates run near empty, fierce when they're crammed. Between those 2 plates, in the bare air where no current runs, there's an electric field getting bigger every instant. Is that it? Is that the thing changing in the gap?
A changing electric field, that is what fills the gap. Where no charge crosses and nothing marches, an electric field grows, moment by moment, as the plates fill, standing in the exact spot where the law went hunting for a current and came back empty. Now set it beside a thing you learned last week, because these two are about to fall into each other. What did a changing magnetic field turn out to make?
It made an electric one. That was the great shock of last week, the 4th law, Faraday's. Stir the magnetism and an electric field springs up, curling round it. No charge anywhere needed to father it. So you've set a changing electric field down in front of me now, there in the gap, and you're looking at me the way you look when the mirror's about to swing round on its hinge. You want me to say the other half aloud. If a changing magnetic field makes an electric one, then a changing electric field ought to make a magnetic one. Turn for turn, the reflection.
And there you've reached in and set it yourself. The piece Maxwell knocked into the hole. A changing electric field makes a magnetic field. The mirror twin of Faraday's changing magnet makes an electric field. Now go back to the gap and watch the trouble melt. On the near film, a marching current raises the magnetic field. On the far film, dipping through the gap, there's no current, but there's that swelling electric field, and a swelling electric field raises a magnetic field of its own. The 2 films stop their quarrel, each names a different maker, and both makers raise the very same field.
So the ghost current was never a ghost of charge, it was the changing electric field wearing a current's coat. The law kept demanding a current threaded through that gap, and the honest answer ran, no current, but a changing electric field doing a current's work, raising the magnetic ring. Different tenants, same rent. and the loop gets one answer at last. The floorboard's nailed down. Is that the patch, whole and entire?
It is. And Ampere's law, mended, now reads with both makers in it. A magnetic field is raised by a current, or by a changing electric field, or by the two together. Maxwell's the man who saw the second maker left off the bill and wrote it back on.
Then the floorboard's nailed, and we can head home satisfied.
Sit back down. We've not so much as tightened a hinge yet. Look at what's in your hands. You wanted a single term to shut the books at a capacitor gap. What you've got is a changing electric field that can make magnetism anywhere. Not in that gap alone. Anywhere at all.
Ah, you're not letting me pocket this as a gap repair, are you? I never added a rule that works between two plates and nowhere else. I added a rule about changing electric fields, full stop, wherever they happen to be. And changing electric fields aren't rare beasts kept caged in a capacitor. They're anywhere the electric field is on the move. So the patch I thought I'd knocked into one little hole is a new law loose in the wide world. A plumber's dab of solder, and it's crept up the wall and across the ceiling.
And there's no calling it back now. So let's do the thing you love. Lay the album out, all 4 laws, and look at the set with the last one mended. You've collected them week by week, like a boy pasting in stamps. Count them out for me once more, and feel what's changed in the shape of the pile.
Gladly. I know them cold by now. 1. Charges make the electric field. Pile up charge and it sprays its field outward in spokes. That's the bag and count law from the electric knights, Gauss. 2. There are no lone magnetic poles, no north without its south. Every magnetic line is a closed loop biting its own tail. 3. As of 5 minutes ago, a magnetic field is made by a current, and now also by a changing electric field, Ampere with Maxwell's piece welded in. And 4. A changing magnetic field makes an electric field, Faraday, last week's shock. 4 laws, album full, not a corner empty.
Now stand back from the album and stop reading it as 4 separate entries. Read it as one shape, for a shape is what it's become. Look at how each field gets made. The electric field, made by charges sitting still, and made by a changing magnetic field. The magnetic field, made by charges on the move, currents, and made by a changing electric field. Do you see the mirror running straight down the middle of that? Swap the word electric for magnetic the entire way through, and the 2 halves read almost, line for line, the same.
I'll want that word almost accounted for before I trust the mirror. You don't leave a word like that lying about by accident. Let me hold the 2 halves up. Each field is made by its own kind of charge, plus the changing of the other field.
Spell the 2 sides out then.
Electric field, electric charges plus changing magnetism. Magnetic field, magnetic charges plus changing electricity, except there are no magnetic charges. That's law 2, no lone poles. So the mirror's cracked right there. I've charges aplenty for electric fields, but no such thing as a lump of magnetic charge to stand opposite them.
You caught it yourself, which most never do, and I'll not paper it over. Electric charges are real things. Hold a charged comb, heap charge on a plate, point your finger at it. Magnetic charges, lone north poles with no south. Nobody has ever laid eyes on one. That is the flaw, and it is an honest one.
Not for want of looking, I'd wager. And if I snap a magnet in 2, I don't get a loose north in one hand and a loose south in the other.
You get 2 smaller magnets, each with both its ends. So the set is no perfect mirror. On the electric side sits a source you can hold. On the magnetic side, that source is simply missing. Keep the asymmetry honest in your pocket. But now, watch what happens if we leave the charges behind altogether.
Then take me where there aren't any charges at all. Empty space. No combs, no wires, no currents, no plates piling up. Their vacuum, nothing in it. So the two makers that lean on charge both drop out of the album, don't they?
They do. So what's left standing, out there in the dark?
The other two halves, the changing ones. A changing magnetic field makes an electric field. A changing electric field makes a magnetic one. And with the charges gone, those two are a perfect pair. The crack in the mirror was all on the charge side, and I've just thrown the charges away.
And there's the door I've been walking you towards since last week. And here it stands open. Out in the empty dark, every charge and current gone, the two laws that remain are a flawless matched pair. Change either field and you birth the other. So follow it. Suppose, out there in the nothing, a magnetic field flickers. Changes once. By Faraday, that changing magnetism throws up an electric field beside it. But this new electric field springs up out of nothing and then fades. So it too is a changing field. And a changing electric field, by Maxwell's fresh piece,
makes a magnetic field, which springs up and changes in its turn, and so throws up another electric field, which changes and throws up another magnetic one. Oh, it's the runaway from last week, off the leash at last. Each field, by the plain fact of its rising and its falling, builds the next. Magnetic hands to electric, electric hands back to magnetic, on and on, leapfrogging forward through the empty black with nothing underneath to hold it up. No wire, no charge, no plates. The charges struck the first match and were thrown away, and the fire keeps burning on nothing but itself.
a disturbance that carries itself. Once it's launched, once that first flicker is struck, it needs nothing further from the world. It doesn't lean on a wire, or ride a charge, or borrow from anything sitting in space. Each field's dying is the next one's birth, and the pattern hands itself forward, on, through pure emptiness.
But every wave you ever showed me needed a thing to do the waving. Water to ripple, air to carry a sound, a rope to shake.
This one waves nothing. It's a ripple in the fields themselves, and the fields are content to exist in bare vacuum, with not a speck of matter near them. A wave with nothing waving.
I keep waiting for you to tell me it's a trick of the arithmetic, a thing that works on your bench and nowhere else. But you're not going to, are you?
I'm not. It's as real as the water and the rope.
Then you're telling me this leapfrogging pair is a true object, out in the real dark, that could be launched and sail off on its own. That the two fields I first met as a stubborn still charge on night 1 and a twitching compass needle on night 4 could, between them, get up and travel, needing no rope, no water, no air, nothing but each other. That's a great deal to swallow before we've so much as asked the obvious question.
Then ask it, the one question that cracks the thing wide open, and it's sitting on your lips. This self-carrying ripple sails off through empty space. At what speed? How fast does it go?
A fair thing to ask of anything that travels. A stone falls at a rate I can name. A shout crosses a room in a time I can clock. So what's the pace of a leapfrog?
Here's the beautiful part. We are not going to measure that speed. We are going to work it out. From what we already hold in our hands.
Now that pulls me up short. How could you know how fast a thing travels without going out and timing it? A speed is a thing you catch with a clock and a measured mile. You're telling me the two laws themselves, sitting there on the page, already have a speed folded up inside them, waiting to be read out? That the leapfrog can't dawdle along at any old pace it fancies? That the field's own rules pin it to one speed and no other? Where in those two laws is a speed even hiding? They're rules about making, not about racing.
In the strength themselves, each making carries a number. When a charge makes an electric field, one number sets how fierce it comes out for a given charge, how hard electricity pushes. You felt it's like, rub two things, pull them apart, feel the tug. Call it the electric strength of empty space.
And a matching number for the magnetic side, I'd guess. How hard magnetism answers a given current.
There is, and you measured its like every time you spun a coil. Two numbers, both got at the bench with wires and charges and needles. And not a candle, not a sunbeam, not one scrap of light anywhere in the measuring of either.
But those are two strengths. And a strength isn't a speed. How does marrying how hard electricity pushes to how hard magnetism pulls hand me back a pace? Miles in an hour. Two numbers about how forcefully a field comes out, folding into a rate of travel. Show me the join.
Follow the leapfrog through with care, and it's there. Because the two strengths set how briskly each field can rouse the other. The electric strength governs how hearty an electric field a changing magnetism throws up. The magnetic strength, how hearty a magnetic field a changing electricity throws up. Picture the chain. Each field rouses the next, link by link, and every link sits one small step further along the road. So many links roused every second, each link a step covered, is nothing but so much distance covered every second. That already is a speed, plain and mechanical, with no magic in it. Marry the two strengths in the way the laws demand, and what drops out the bottom carries the units of a speed. A distance over a time. There's no arranging it. The arithmetic simply hands you a pace.
So I turn the crank, take the electric strength I measured with charged combs, take the magnetic strength I measured with coils, fold them together as the laws insist, and a speed falls out the foot of the sum, one settled speed. Not one I picked, not one the wave is free to choose, the single rate the two laws permit it, and no other.
And the fields get no vote in it. Now hold still before I say what it is, and weigh what we've done, because it slips past easily. We built a wave out of two laws about making. We asked how fast it must sail, and the laws answered, with a real speed, put together from two measurements taken with wire and charge and needle, and not a single beam of light anywhere in the getting of them.
And you've gone quiet again. That particular quiet, the one that comes a breath before the trapdoor drops. You've the number behind your teeth, and you've had it this while, so out with it. The speed that falls out of the sum, the one rate the leapfrog is allowed, what is it?
The speed that falls out is the very speed light was measured to travel. Not near it, not in its neighborhood, not close enough to raise an eyebrow. The same speed, the same, down to the last figure any one of the day could measure. Two numbers off a workbench, one wrung from charges, one from currents, neither with the faintest thing to do with light. Married together as the laws command, and out comes the exact pace of a sunbeam crossing a room.
Wait, say that once more and slowly, because I want to be sure I've not run my ladder up the wrong wall. You measured how hard charges push. You measured how hard currents pull. You never once measured light, never lit a candle, never timed a beam down a corridor. You put those two bench numbers together, and the speed that came out is the speed of light. The plain, timed, out-in-the-world speed of an actual beam.
The plain, timed, out-in-the-world speed of an actual beam. Set it down and let it be as strange as it truly is. Don't hurry to make your peace with it. A man measures electricity in one corner of the room and magnetism in another, folds his two answers together to learn how fast his imagined ripple must go, and the world hands him back. The speed of light, a thing he never asked after, never aimed at, never put in.
Then I'm left standing between two doors, and I don't much care for the spot. Either this is the most staggering coincidence in all creation, two numbers off a bench having nothing to do with light, marrying by pure blind luck into the exact pace of a sunbeam. Or
it's no coincidence whatever. There's your fork, and one of its two roads is very nearly impossible to walk. Coincidences of that size don't occur. Numbers don't fall into line this closely by chance. When two roads you were certain had never crossed arrive at the same milepost, as close as anyone could then measure, you'd do better to stop calling it luck and start asking whether they were one road the entire way along.
then let me say the thing the coincidence is begging me to say, because it's forming in my mouth and it's almost too big to get out. If my leapfrog wave travels at the exact speed of light, and it would take a miracle for that to be chance, then my leapfrog wave isn't merely like light, it is light. The thing I built out of two mended laws, that pair of fields handing off to each other through the dark, that is what a beam of light actually is.
Light is an electromagnetic wave. There's the reveal, full and plain. What pours from the lamp over your head, what left the sun a few minutes before it warmed your cheek, is this and nothing more. A changing electric field and a changing magnetic field, each forever making the other, leapfrogging through space at the one speed the two laws will allow. Not a substance, not a hail of little somethings, two fields taking turns.
I'm looking round the room as you say it, and I can't get the words to sit on what my eyes are doing. The lamp there, the glow off this page, the daylight at the window, all of it is an electric field and a magnetic field trading places, quicker than I could count, sailing across to land in my eye.
The lamp, the page, the daylight, the lot. That is the light.
Not a stuff, not a stream of anything, a pair of fields at an endless game of leapfrog, and the game itself is what I've called brightness my whole life.
And here's a quiet joke folded into it, the sort that keeps a person up at night. You have been staring at electromagnetism your entire life, and calling it seeing. Every face you've ever looked on, every colour, every star, you were watching electric and magnetic fields all the while, taking their turns, and never once knew it. The same fields that twitched your compass and snapped at your knuckle off a doorknob. You needed no laboratory, only to open your eyes of a morning.
And there's your plumber, come home to roost. Maxwell strolls over to cork one small leak in Ampere's law, a bookkeeping nothing, a term left off a bill at a capacitor gap that none but a pedant would fret over. And by the time he's wiped his hands, he's told us what light is. What light is. The oldest, plainest thing there is, the first thing the morning does. And it dropped out of a man tidying a footnote. I asked his rates a while back. I withdraw the question. There are no rates for that.
He could not have known where the little term would lead when he set it down. That's the marvel of it. He was mending a self-contradiction, making the books agree at a charging gap. An honest craftsman patching a hole in the plaster. But the term he added was true, and true things won't stay in the drawer you file them under. Follow that one honest correction to its end, through the empty space leapfrog, down to the speed, and it stops being a patch and becomes the reason the sky is bright. The law knew its own meaning before any man did.
Then let me stand up from the bench a moment and look at what's happened to the map while my back was turned, because I think it's larger than one law. Count what I've studied these 7 weeks. Rubbed amber, snapping a spark at my knuckle, a lodestone hauling iron across the table, a compass swinging round to some hidden north, a current wrapping its field round a wire, each a marvel on its own, filed in its own drawer, with its own name and its own night. And now you're telling me the drawers have all fallen open into one.
And there's no shutting them separately again. Think what's just been sewn together. Electricity, the study of charge and spark and current. Magnetism, the study of lodestone and compass and pole. You stitched those two last week when the fields learned to make each other. But tonight, a third thing joins them, one no one had a reason to think belonged. Optics, the study of light and colour and the rainbow, an art as old as looking, whose old books never once mentioned a wire. Optics turns out to be a chapter of electricity and magnetism.
3 windows in 1 wall. That's what it is, isn't it? The lightning, the compass, the sunrise, a child's 3 separate wonders. And behind all 3, one thing. 2 fields, and the rules by which they make each other. I keep hunting for the seam where optics was glued onto the other 2, and there isn't a seam. It was never glued. It was the same thing wearing a third face all along. That's not a tidying up. That's the world turning out to be more of a single piece than anyone had the nerve to hope.
And reached not by wishing it so, but by chasing one honest correction to the end of its road. That's the deepest gift this course has. Not another fact on the heap, but 2 heaps you took for strangers proving to be one. Charge and current and light, which the ancients would have sworn were 3 unrelated gods, all of them answering to a set of rules you could write on the back of your hand.
Here's what won't sit still in me, though. Everything you've shown me these 2 weeks had to be paid for, and had to keep paying. The coil billed my arm for every drop of current, ate every push I made. The magnet down the pipe traded its fall for a little warmth in the copper. Nothing ran free. And now you hand me a wave that sails off through empty space and asks the world for nothing further. Doesn't it tire? Doesn't the leapfrog wind down till it peters out in the dark?
In empty space, it doesn't wind down. Each field raises the other, with nothing skimmed off in the raising. The handoff loses nothing to pass along. Out there, with no charge to shove and no wire to warm, the wave does no work on anything, and a thing that does no work pays no toll. That's the reason it crosses the void undimmed. It isn't that the world waived the fee, it's that there's nothing out in the emptiness to hand it a bill.
Like a ripple on a pond, then, except for the pond.
It fades, that pond ripple, because it spends itself stirring the water it crosses. This one stirs no water. There's none out there to stir. So a beam that left the sun reaches your eye undimmed by the crossing, worn only by whatever it met on the way. And empty space is a road with nothing standing on it.
Then tell me at least what strikes the first flicker, even keeping the how of it for later. Something must give that opening kick. A magnetic field won't decide of its own accord to start changing out in the middle of nowhere. What lights the match?
A charge that moves, but moves in a particular way. Not gliding steadily. A steady march radiates nothing. You have to shake it. Jiggle a charge to and fro, and its electric field jiggles along with it. A changing electric field. And a changing electric field, by tonight's new piece, throws up a magnetic one, and off the leapfrog goes, sailing away from the shaken charge that bore it. Wiggle a charge, and you fling a ripple of light. But how much you fling, and shaped which way? That's a night I'm saving. I'll set it down here and not pick it up again.
Wiggle a charge and fling light, then I'm doing it without pause. Every charge in me jostling about, tossing off these ripples, and I never the wiser. The world's charges forever fidgeting, flinging faint light in all directions. Not the tidy picture I carried, of light as a thing from lamps and the sun and little else. Light must pour off everything that has a jostling charge in it, which is to say, off everything.
After a fashion, yes. And there you've leaned on next week's door and set it creaking. That every warm, jostling thing is quietly flinging light is true, and it's the seed of a great deal. Why a poker in the fire comes to glow, why you yourself are not altogether dark to the right sort of eye.
I'll not push that door then, only tell me it holds till next week.
It will keep. Tonight we need know only that a shaken charge launches the wave, and once launched, the wave has no more use for the charge.
I'll leave that door shut then, but let me see the shape of the thing while it sails, now that I believe in it. A beam travels, say, straight away from me down the room. The two fields riding it, which way do they point? Along the line of travel, like a little dart flying nose first, or crosswise to it? I want the geometry in my hand, not the story alone.
Crosswise. Square across the travel, never along it. Picture the beam heading away from you down the room. The electric field stands at right angles to that path, pointing, say, up and down. The magnetic field lies across the path as well, but square to the electric one too, pointing side to side. And the travel runs straight out ahead, at right angles to them both. 3 directions, each square to the other 2. The electric swinging one way, the magnetic across it, the whole pattern sailing out square to them both, and the 2 fields rise and fall together, in step, as it rolls forward.
So the fields wag sideways to the way the beam runs, not fore and aft along it. That's a wave on a shaken rope then, not a shove running down a line of coupled carts. The rope flicks up and down while the wave races along its length. The light goes one way, the fields wag across the going and across each other, in step. I'll carry that. 2 fields shaking crosswise, at right angles to each other and to the road they travel. That, flung off through the dark, is a beam.
Hold it right there, and raise no further story on it tonight, because the crosswise wag has more to tell, and every word of that belongs to next week. You've the honest shape of a light wave in your hand, 2 fields, square to each other and to their travel, rising and falling in step, sailing at the one allowed speed. That's plenty to be going on with. More than plenty. It's most of what a lifetime of looking never told you.
And you know what it's just repaid? Your own words at the door last week. I've turned them over for 7 days. When the 4 become 1, you said, the 1 turns out to be light. You made me carry that into the dark and swear not to touch it. Here it is now, come true in my hands. The 4 laws became 1. The last piece dropped into Ampere's hole and the mirror shut. And out of the 1 rolled light, the way you swore it would. You weren't playing the showman, you were telling me flatly where we'd land.
I was, and I made you wait for it, so you'd feel it land rather than merely be told. Last week the fields had newly learned to make each other, and I could hand you but half the gear, the changing magnet raising a current. Tonight the other half seated itself, the changing electric field raising the magnet's field straight back. And the moment both halves were in, the gear turned, and the turning of it is a wave, and the wave is light. The promise and its keeping, a week apart.
And there's another of your old drums I can finally hear the full beat of. Steady is dead, you kept saying. A still field does nothing, and the changing alone pays. I took it for a rule about coils and needles, but it's the rule light itself stands on. A field sitting still makes no wave whatever. It's the changing, forever the changing, that hands one field to the next and lets the beam exist at all. If fields could not change, the world would be dark.
If fields could not change, the world would be dark. That's worth saying twice. Every lesson of these 2 weeks was pointing here, though you couldn't see it through the trees. The still magnet that did nothing, the moving one that woke a current, the long quarrel between steady and changing. It was the world teaching you that light is made of change. A steady field is a field asleep. A changing field is a field that can rise and travel. And travelling, changing fields are the brightness you've lived inside since the day you were born.
Let me lean once more on your no coincidence, because I'd hate to be sold a conjurer's trick got up as a law. Suppose the 2 strengths had married into some other speed altogether, quicker than a beam or slower. What then? Would you still be standing there telling me the wave was light?
I would not. Had the sum come out at some other pace, I'd have a wave on my hands right enough. A real leapfrog of fields, off at that other speed. But no cause to call it light, and light would still be sitting there wanting an account of itself. Two puzzles, unjoined. Instead, the sum lands on the speed of a beam, as close as anyone could then measure. So either light is this wave, or two unrelated things share one speed by blind accident right to the edge of measurement. And nobody in his wits bets a farthing on that.
And now I feel the nerve it took. Picture the man at it. He measures electricity in one corner, magnetism in the other, grinds out a speed, and notices it's the speed of light. He might have shrugged, a curious echo, filed and forgotten. Instead, he says it plainly. They are not merely alike, they are the same. Light is this, and nothing else. That's a bold thing to build out of two bench numbers agreeing.
Bold, and yet the numbers left him small room to be modest. When the match is that clean, not near, not roughly, but the same to every figure you can reach, timidity is its own kind of blunder. To have seen it and muttered, "Coincidence," would have been the failure of nerve. The daring reading was the honest one. The world had laid the two roads down along a single line, and he had the courage to read them as one.
Which means light was folded up inside those laws all along, hiding there before anyone dreamed the laws had a thing to do with light. The rules were set down to account for sparks and coils and swinging needles. Nobody sat down meaning to explain the sunrise, and the sunrise was in there regardless, tucked in the arithmetic, waiting the long years for someone to carry the sum to its floor.
The laws said more than the men who wrote them knew they were saying. That's the eerie thing about a true law. You pin it down to catch the small facts in front of you, the spark and the compass, and it quietly catches facts you never aimed at on the far side of the world. Light was a guest already seated at the table before anyone had thought to lay it a place.
And that does something to the field itself, doesn't it? The field I've half-treated as your bookkeeping all these weeks. You told me once the current was only the field's footprint in the dust, and the field the real thing. I nodded and didn't quite believe you. But if light is a wave in the field with nothing else waving, then the field isn't a manner of speaking. It's the actual furniture of the world. It's the thing that gets up and crosses the dark and lands in my eye.
The field earned its reality tonight. Early on, I handed it to you as a convenience, a tidy way to speak of a force reaching across a gap. You were right to hold it lightly then. But a convenience cannot rise and travel. A manner of speaking cannot carry the warmth of a star across the void and lay it on your cheek. Only a real thing does that. Tonight the field stopped being our picture of the world and became a piece of it.
Then when I stand out under the night and a star's light falls in my eye, I'm being touched, truly touched, by a field that left that star long ago and has been travelling ever since. Not a message about the star, not a picture of it, an actual ripple in the actual field, set going out there, come all this way, to end its road against the back of my eye.
An actual ripple, come all that way to spend itself against your eye. Some jostling charge in that star shook, once, and flung a leapfrog of fields into the dark. And it sailed, undimmed, across a gulf you've no easy way to picture, and the last thing it ever did was give itself to you. Every star you've watched reached you exactly so. You were never looking at the stars. You were being arrived at by the stars, one field wave at a time.
And it never tired on the road. You've sworn to me it can't, so the light in my eye may have set out from a thing that isn't even there any longer. The star could be long gone, its fire cold, and its last light still crossing to me, still leapfrogging faithfully with no star left behind it to know or care. The wave outlives whatever launched it.
Once it's off, the leapfrog needs neither the charge that struck it nor the star that held the charge. That much is tonight's, and it's strange enough to hold on to. but how far these waves truly run and what it means to catch light from a fire gone cold, that's a road for another week, and a long one.
Then let me push my luck one last time, since you've made me greedy. If every light is this same leapfrog of fields, what tells one from another? The red of an ember, the blue of the noon sky, the warmth I feel off a fire in the pitch dark when I can't see a thing. Are those all the one pair of fields, taking turns? And if they are, what's set differently between them, that they look and feel so unalike? There must be a dial.
There is, and I'll show you where it sits. Then lift my hand off, for the turning of it is next week's business. What tells one light from another is how quickly the two fields trade places as the wave rolls by. How rapid the leapfrog.
So a slow leapfrog is one colour, a quick one another.
Slow the trading, and you slide toward the warmth you feel but cannot see. Quicken it, and you climb through the red toward the blue. But why some of it warms while some of it lights, and what the eye's doing in the thick of it, that stays sealed till next week.
Then here's the other thread I can't stop tugging, and I expect you'll slap my hand off it too. That warmth off the sun. The sun's a long way off, through empty space, no air across most of the road, nothing to hand the heat along the way, a poker hands it to my palm. And yet the warmth arrives. If light is these two fields leapfrogging, the fields must be ferrying something across that emptiness. Some freight, some energy, all the way from the sun to my face. How does a wave with nothing waving carry the heat of a star across the void?
And that's the question I mean to leave in your hands tonight. Because a wave that carries itself can carry more than itself, and what it ferries across the emptiness is energy, real energy. The sun's warmth crossing the dark on nothing but these two fields taking turns. How a pattern of fields comes to hold energy and haul it across the void, pouring it into your face as heat and into your eye as light. That's a night of its own, and it stands next in line. I point at it, we don't open it.
So I've been handed the enormous half and told to wait on the rest, which is your signature, and I ought to be used to it by now. I know at last what light is. A wave in the field, two fields making each other, sailing at the one allowed speed, the same stuff as a spark and a compass needle. But I don't yet know what that buys me, why it comes in colours, how it carries a star's warmth across the dark, what it even means to hold a wave with nothing waving. I've the name of the thing, and not its habits.
That's the honest state of it, and no mean place to be standing. Tonight we found what light is. Next week we go and live inside it. We'll ask what it means for a wave to be made of nothing but field, how it carries the energy you feel, why the one instrument sounds so many notes. Every colour you've seen, and the warmth and more you never could. We named the wave tonight. Next time we climb aboard and ride it.
Live inside the wave. I'll be up half the week on that phrase alone. But you always let me take stock at the door, so let me, before you pack me off to dream of riding sunbeams.
It's yours as ever. Give me the shape of the night, and then the last word.
Then here's what I carry into the dark. I came in sure tonight was a spot of tidying, one small hole in Ampere's law, a floorboard to nail down. A patch, I called it, and you didn't argue.
A patch. And so it was.
Small enough on its face. A changing electric field makes a magnetic one, the mirror of Faraday's changing magnet, and the quarrel at the capacitor gap fell quiet. I thought we were done for the night.
You thought wrong, and to your profit.
Once I'd got past the shock, yes, the patch would not stay in its hole. It made the four laws complete and symmetric, each field the source of the other's change, and then it strolled straight out into empty space.
And in empty space?
With the charges thrown away, the two changing halves are a matched pair. A changing magnetic field makes an electric one. A changing electric field makes a magnetic one. So a ripple hands itself forward forever, leapfrogging through the dark on nothing but itself. A wave that carries itself, no wire, no charge, once it's struck.
That much you'd all but built last week. Tonight's new thing on top of it.
The speed. You asked how fast it must travel and answered with no clock at all. Married the electric strength of space to the magnetic, 2 numbers off a bench, and not a candle anywhere in the measuring of either.
And out of the marriage came
The speed of light, as near as measuring could then reach, and no sane man calls that chance, so my leapfrog wave isn't merely like light, it is light. 2 fields taking turns, sailing at the one allowed speed, are the very stuff pouring out of the lamp over my head.
Say what that did to the map.
It folded 3 studies into one. Electricity and magnetism I'd stitched together already, but now optics, light itself, the oldest wonder there is, turns out to be their child. Sparks and lodestones and sunbeams, all the one thing. The rainbow's a chapter of the compass.
And it came to us how?
By a man tidying a footnote. That's the piece I'll not get over. Maxwell went to cork a leak and came home holding the sun. He wanted a patch and got the universe.
Wanted a patch, got the universe. There's the night in 5 words.
And I've been staring at the thing the length of my life and calling it seeing, never once guessing that every face, every colour, every star was electric and magnetic fields taking their turns against the back of my eye.
The habits are next week's, and we'll live inside the wave to learn them. Carry out only what you earned tonight, the name of the thing, and the road it came by.
I'll carry that and no more, hands off the rest, though I'll make no promises about the dreaming. And do you know the sweetest turn of it? I kept my hands off the missing tooth all week, sure I'd need you to fit it for me. In the end, I fitted most of it myself, standing right here.
You did. The last word, then. It's yours, the way it always is at the door.
Then here it is. I walked in believing light was a stuff that leaked out of lamps, and a footnote came loose in an old law about wires. And by the time we'd chased that footnote down to its floor, light had turned out to be 2 fields forever making each other, sailing at a speed the laws pinned down without once glancing at a beam. The same stuff as a spark, the same stuff as a compass, and the reason the sky is bright and a star can reach clear across the dark to touch my eye. I came for a nailed floorboard. I'm walking out with where light comes from. See you next week, and this time we climb inside the wave together.